Hi folks, and welcome to another topical deep dive here on the Cord Cutters news channel. And this week, instead of focusing on one single theme, we thought we'd open it up to a variety of topics, including the upcoming holidays, new hardware from Amazon and Roku, and the potential at least for price hikes for live TV streaming services. And yes, as you might have assumed by this point, in order to talk about all those topics, I thought it'd be a good idea to invite a special guest. Alright, so if we're going to talk about all the top stories in cord cutting and streaming, naturally that means bringing on our very own Jess. So Jess, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me again. Happy to sit down and chat about streaming.
Yeah, and I know we're still technically in October, but everyone's saying we should be thinking about the holidays earlier than normal this year. So let's start off our conversation with talking about holiday gear for 2021. And I don't know about you, but I've been keeping a close eye on some of the new streaming gear that's come up in the last couple months or so. We've got a new mid-range streaming device from Roku, the Streaming Stick 4K, and we've got a review of that on our YouTube channel as well. And then more recently, we've had the Fire TV Stick 4K Max, which is a mouthful of a product name. That's from Amazon, and that's also in that mid-range $50-ish price range. And we've got a review of that out as well. And those look to be some of the top gifts for first time or long time cord cutters out there. And of course, that means deals on outgoing products like the 4K or the Fire TV Stick 4K is still on Amazon's list at $49.99, although we've been seeing it discounted down into the 30s. Although, if you take a look at our 4K Max review, you might want to pay a few bucks for that Max. It is a considerable upgrade over the older 4K. But Jess, has anything caught your eye as far as early Black Friday deals or holiday shopping in general?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad that you mentioned that we are already talking about holiday shopping and getting some tips from insiders saying that we should be starting that shopping early, because I've been hearing that all over the place. Everyone is talking about all these shipping delays and saying that these shelves aren't going to be stocked. And if you want to find gifts, you need to start now. So all of our online retailers are already starting their Black Friday deals. So Target, Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon, they all have Black Friday deals already. They started probably a week ago. I mean, Amazon probably started even earlier, but there are some great deals right now that you don't have to wait for. And for anyone who is concerned about shopping now and missing out on some of those good deals, also wanted to point out that a lot of these online retailers have price match guarantees. And it looks like they run through Christmas. So if you buy now and the price drops later before Christmas, you can get some money back. So don't be afraid to shop early. We highly recommend it. I would love to see everyone get their gifts on time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can personally attest to the value of those price matches. I've signed up for Best Buy's Elite, whatever their club is, and I've definitely taken advantage of that when I've bought new gear, and then lo and behold, it goes on sale the next week or so. So it's just a quick chat with a support person on Best Buy's site, and you tell them, hey, I bought this on this date and now it's on sale, and a few minutes later you've got the price difference back in your account. So it's a really cool feature to have, especially when we get into the shopping season now.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll put instructions up over on quirkittersnews.com for how to make sure that you're getting the best deal, how to price match if you shopped early. And also wanted to point out that a lot of these places, I know Best Buy is doing it, and I think others are extending their return period too. So if you buy something and change your mind or you find a better deal somewhere else, they are extending that return period. So you have plenty of time to take things back.
So moving on from the holidays, we've also had a lot of, I guess, action in the carriage deal wars, so to speak. So the most notable of late is YouTube TV and Comcast fighting it out over the NBC Universal channels. And along the way, we heard that Peacock was in that discussion as well. You followed that story pretty dang closely as it was developing. So I was curious what your thoughts on it were.
What a wild ride that was. I remember there was one night where it got to be like 11 o'clock and I was sending you messages saying, I think we're about to hear something, just prepare yourself. I think I'm about to post. So things were really coming down to the wire with this deal. And then there were extensions and they were changing their mind and we were hearing, no, there won't be a deal, or yes, there definitely will be. So It was crazy. So not just for the customers, but also for those of us who were reporting on it, it was just nuts. So yeah, that was one of the biggest ones, but I think this is something that we're going to keep seeing more and more, unfortunately. I know how frustrating it is for both cable customers and streamers to see your channels potentially being dropped. So hate to say it, but I think we're going to see a lot more of these. We've seen it a lot with sports channels in the past, but now having a big network like NBC potentially being dropped, I think just kind of changes the game. But a lot of these companies, these broadcasters are trying to get more money. So I think we're just going to see a lot more of these disputes where the streaming services are saying, we're not paying all of this money. You have to stop. This is getting crazy. And the broadcasters saying, you have to pay it. Your customers want these channels. Unfortunately, yeah, I think it's just going to get worse from here.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see some of the comments on our coverage from folks that are like, if NBC goes and YouTube TV reduces in price by, I think it was what, $10 per month, they'd be okay with that. And that kind of speaks to like the appeal of the, I guess, the a la carte options for I want these channels but not these channels, and hopefully the price goes lower. So yeah, it's interesting to see we're moving past the cable model, but those carriage disputes are following us along on the streaming bandwagon. So it's very interesting to see where this will end up in the future.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me to see almost a 50-50 split of our readers either wanting to keep the channels or wanting to get rid of them and see the price go down. So it's been really interesting, but probably worth noting that YouTube TV is now doing some serious discounts, some very extended free trials and all kinds of stuff to really try and retain customers. I'm wondering how many people dropped the service while the dispute was happening before there was a final decision. It seems like a lot of people jumped ship early, and now YouTube TV is trying to pull some of those customers back in.
Yeah, even the possibility of a big shakeup might have been enough for folks to say, you know what, I'm not getting enough out of this live TV streaming deal. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how live TV streaming in particular, because it tries to emulate the old cable model of having so many channels at your disposal. It's gonna be interesting to see how they adapt to evolving consumer demand.
Yeah, and right now we are in Q3 financial report season. So we'll be seeing a few of these streaming services releasing their subscriber numbers. Not all of them, but some of them will. So we'll be reporting on that, and we'll have to see if those numbers have dropped for the quarter.
Yeah, and moving on from potential price dips, well, we definitely need to talk about potential price hikes in the future for these live TV streaming services. And if you followed along at Cord Cutters News for a length of time, you might have noticed that several, in fact, all of the major live TV streaming services have had a price hike of some sort in the last year and a half or so. So Jess, I'm curious what your thoughts are for the future, if you can predict the future.
I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news today. Like I only have negative things to say, but I'm afraid that we're about to see some more price hikes. So just before we started recording, I looked into previous price hikes, and Hulu's most recent one was announced in November 2020. So we're at that 1 year mark. And then YouTube TV and Fubo TV both saw a price hike during the summer of 2020. So they're probably due for another one. Sling TV, I know we were just joking about this not long ago, about Sling TV's price guarantee, which expired in August 2021. And the minute that thing expired, you better believe there was a price hike. So I think we're good on Sling for now, but the others have not seen a price hike in at least a year. So hate to say it, but that's usually about the time frame when we start seeing another hike.
Yeah, and to be clear, we haven't seen any firm, confirmed details that say, oh, this price hike is definitely coming. But it's that time of year, and it's been long enough that we're getting the feeling that something's up.
Yeah, I haven't even heard any rumors at this point, so definitely don't want to scare anyone or make anyone jump into canceling their service or anything. But yeah, it does kind of feel like something might be coming. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye out, and we'll let everybody know as soon as we hear anything.
So let's get into what you've been into lately, like personal hardware or platform faves of late. What have you been streaming? What devices have you been checking out of late?
Love that question. I have talked about this quite a bit, both on the site and in Q&As, but Vizio sent me one of their new TVs to try out. And first of all, this thing is massive, which is new for me because I've always had very small TVs. My living room is very small, don't have room for the giant TV. It's in my office right over here. But I've really been enjoying the Vizio TV. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is that I feel like this company has a bad reputation that people don't like the interface. So just wanted to mention that they have updated it a ton. And so a lot of the issues people were having with Vizio TVs, I've not experienced at all. People have talked about buffering and how it's hard to find apps, or it takes too long to start up apps, and I haven't had any of that. So just wanted to mention that if you've been hesitant about Vizio because of things you've heard about past models, I would not worry about that right now.
Yeah, and we've done a video in the past about smart TVs and how even the best smart TVs tend to have, or sometimes have, kind of less than optimal hardware and less than optimal built-in software platforms. And that's definitely the case with my 2018 era LG OLED. You know, it's a beautiful display, it's an incredible TV, but the software, you know, it tends to struggle at times, especially with services like, say, Pluto TV. And like with Vizio, LG has recently revamped its software platform. Unfortunately, mine isn't compatible with that newest software, but what I've seen of the newest Vizios, it's a market improvement. So yeah, definitely cool to see Vizio upping its game on the streaming side.
Yeah, and I think worth mentioning too that you can replace a streaming device fairly often because they're affordable, but most people aren't going to replace their smart TV super often. These things are expensive. So if you have one and it's feeling a little clunky, it's not updating the way that you want, just plug in an affordable streaming device and use that instead. Your TV is still perfectly fine. It might just be the interface that isn't working for you.
Absolutely, yeah. I have no complaints about my LG, at 3 years in, except for, the occasional laggy software. But like you said, that's where more affordable streaming devices come in. And speaking of that, we just mentioned earlier in the video the Streaming Stick 4K, and I have it in my hand here. It's still a compact portable device, and after testing it for several days, I'm really impressed with what Roku managed to achieve for $49.99. I don't travel all that much, or if ever, but if I were, this is the kind of device I would carry with me. It's super compact, fewer cords to worry about, and it's great to set up, and it's far more preferable than entering my login info in some strange smart TV in a hotel somewhere. So if you are shopping for the holidays early, that's one of my faves right now, is the Streaming Stick 4K.
Yeah, great stocking stuffers too.
Absolutely, yeah.
To recommend. Something else I wanted to mention was for people who are already set up with their streaming device, you might be looking for another cord cutting related gift to give them. I would recommend Roku's Stream Bar. I've really been liking it. I upgraded from the old sound bar to the new smaller Stream Bar, and I've been absolutely loving this thing. It's small enough that it's easy to give as a gift, which I appreciate, and just as good as the old sound bar, maybe even better. I don't know, I'm not the sound person here, haven't run any tests or anything, but I've really been enjoying it. So if you have a cord cutter in your life who you're looking to buy a gift for that is not just another streaming device, I would recommend looking into Roku's sound products.
Yeah, and that's a good segue for us to mention that, as the weeks roll on and we get closer and closer to the holidays, definitely stay tuned to Cord Cutters News, because we're going to have a lot of, holiday guides, buying guides, and maybe some editor personal recommendations to look out for. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, love that. Love giving recommendations. I'm happy to tell people how to spend their money.
And going from spending money to spending some time, one of our more popular news posts from recent months has been the story about a company offering to pay folks to watch the entirety of The Simpsons over a period of time. And that's 30 plus seasons of shows. So that's a considerable amount of time to be dedicating. And that got us thinking, what shows would we love to be paid to watch? And Jess, I'm curious what your top choices would be.
Okay, I know that you and I have a similar one. We have talked about our love of this show, so I will start off by saying I would happily accept money to watch the entirety of The Office all over again. I've probably seen the entire thing 3 times through already, but if someone wanted to give me a few $1,000 to watch it, I would happily take that money.
Yeah, I would take that offer too. Even if there was no sound, I would probably be able to supply all the dialogue from memory. I'd say maybe 70% of the time. So yeah, I would absolutely take up that offer. One that I was surprised to find that on my own list is the children's show Bluey, and it's one that we've mentioned before. Watching with our daughter, it's on Disney Plus. Each episode, it's a children's show, so each episode is actually like 8 minutes long, and there are some. I think there are like 50, 60 episodes now, and they are delightful little vignettes of life. So if someone wanted to pay me to watch that, I would be first in line. And I think the last one on my list, and I'm rethinking it now because I'm remembering just how big a series it was, but one of my favorite shows is Stargate SG-1. A great show to watch, but if I were to, watch, I think it's 200 plus episodes over 10 seasons, that could take a while, especially if I had to write little book reports about each episode.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't know if I could commit to that kind of a time period, but you can have that one. I'll leave that one to you.
So beyond The Office, what are some of the others you'd be, willing to sacrifice some time for?
So, okay, I've been thinking about this all day. I will say that being paid to watch TV might be the only way that I will ever finish Game of Thrones. I mentioned this again in the Q&A quite a while ago, an embarrassingly long time ago, but I started watching Game of Thrones finally. I know I'm 10 years behind on this, but I can't make myself finish it, and I don't know why. I keep getting sidetracked by other shows and other things, but I guess if someone were going to pay me, I would sit down and finish it out. I've heard the ending was not great, so maybe I should just stop now and cut my losses.
Yeah, we could talk offline about what the optimal stopping point would be. But yeah, the general consensus is it tends to taper off toward pretty steeply toward the end. But that reminds me, there's another old favorite that I have never gotten around to, but wouldn't mind someone paying me to catch up on. And it's gotten more attention of late, and that's The Sopranos. That's a show that I've never actually caught an episode of ever, but everyone I've heard that's seen it raves about it. So it's still on somewhere on my list. But if someone wants to pay me to watch it, yeah, I'll sign up.
I will pay you to watch it just so that we can talk about it over Slack because I just finished it. I liked it a lot. The movie is now on HBO Max. I recommend it. I think you'll like it, maybe. But I had friends badgering me to watch this show, so I finally binge watched the entire thing, and I really liked it.
Fair enough. And then moving on from shows that we'd like to get paid to watch to shows that we've actually voluntarily watched, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of your new favorite and maybe old favorite streaming options out there. So what shows and movies have you been checking out?
Okay. Also excited about this one because in addition to telling people how to spend their money, I love telling them how to spend their time by watching TV. So for those of you who were fans of the first two seasons of You, the third season is on Netflix. I've seen mixed reviews, but I have to say, you have to see the whole season through. It is completely worth it. I won't give anything away. I've already been talking to the ladies on TV Guide about this on the side. We're all in agreement that it's very much worth watching the whole season. So if you have already caught up on the first two, check this one out just in time for spooky season. So I was a fan of this season.
Nice. Yeah, my wife's just started season 3. I don't know what episode she's on, but yeah, I think I get the sense of what you're talking about where see it through to the end, because right now I'm like, how do they get themselves out of this particular situation? Is, I guess, the non-spoilery way to describe season 3.
Your wife to text me. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll do a watch party and just share our thoughts. Yeah, on my end, I finally caught up with Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. We finally finished season 2 the other day, and it's kind of a similar situation as the episodes were releasing every Friday, on a weekly basis. I'd see Twitter kind of light up with, uneven reactions to every individual episode, but having seen season 2 in kind of a more, binge-friendly format, I see the narrative that they were trying to go for, and it's a captivating show. And season 2 actually took some risks and challenged some viewpoints that I wasn't expecting. So I'm really, really looking forward to season 3, which I figure will be July or August of 2022. And another one that we've blown through, I think it was 6 seasons in a week, is How to Get Away with Murder, the ABC show with Viola Davis. And that's one of those addicting shows where, complex, complicated people make bad choices and try to solve those bad choices with worse choices. And at least that's how I describe that show. And it was really interesting to see how they ended up. It's been too recent for me to really gauge my reaction to the final episode, but it was an ambitious show and we had fun watching it.
Yeah, speaking of very dramatic people doing very dramatic things, the new season of Succession has started too. And wanted to mention, for those who don't know, you can watch each episode as it comes out on HBO Max at the same time that it's on HBO. So again, if you have watched the first couple seasons and you want to stay up to date with this one, you can watch it on HBO Max. The first episode was insane. For those who remember how season 2 left off, it's crazy, and I'm loving that one. I think it's like my life is pretty boring, and so seeing these people live very dramatic, insane lives is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I got that sense in How to Get Away with Murder. They do a lot of flashbacks to the decisions that led up to the present day for a lot of these characters. And my main takeaway from a lot of those flashbacks was my own life was just not dramatic enough to warrant a TV show. So I get it. I get the appeal of those kind of shows. And yeah, Succession is another one of those shows I see a lot of on Twitter, a lot of folks discussing, and I just see it and I think to myself, all right, well, I will keep that in mind when I finally watch it in 5 to 10 years. But yeah, a lot of debate and a lot of discussion about Succession right now.
Yeah, I love it. I do have one more on my list, and this one was a recommendation, so I had to mention it. The Wednesday night Q&A crowd knows me better than I know myself, and they're constantly recommending shows to me, and sometimes I watch them immediately, but sometimes I put them off for months for no reason at all. And that happened with this one. They kept recommending Schmigadoon to me, and I finally watched it, and it is delightful. It's on Apple TV Plus, has just about every famous person you could imagine who has ever sung anything ever in their lives. So Kristen Chenoweth is in it. It has Key from Key and Peele. It's just a very cute show. The gist of it is that they are a couple, they get dropped into this strange land and they are on the set of a musical and they can't escape it. So it is very cute. The music is very corny and I love it so much. So big thank you to everyone who told me to stop what I was doing and watch this show already, because it's quickly becoming a favorite and it's on Apple TV Plus.
Nice. Yeah, and I think that's all I had to chat with you about. So if there's any other topics you want to let our fellow cord cutters and streamers know about, now's the time.
Just a quick note so we've been talking a lot about holiday. Just wanted to mention that we will be covering a ton of Black Friday deals, Cyber Monday deals. We'll have holiday gift guides coming out. You can find all of that on cordcuttersnews.com. We will have a little holiday hub for you to make it easy on the homepage to find those deals, find all of those Black Friday deals, find all of our holiday content. I'm personally excited for the Christmas movies. I don't know about you, but that's all going to be up for you sooner rather than later, since we know a lot of you want to get a head start on that holiday shopping.
Absolutely. Yeah, 'tis the season in October already. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting time for cord cutters and streamers out there, and Cord Cutters News will be there to capture and follow along with all of it. So yeah, thanks Jess for joining us for another convo, and look forward to doing this again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
If you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking on those like and subscribe buttons down below. Both of those options really help support our channel, and they help remind YouTube that it should probably recommend our content to more and more viewers. For now though, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week. Take care.